It's time to start your life the way it is meant to be. There's only one time when it will be too late, and you don't want to wait for that. This is Now or Never. The choice is yours. Your host is Karen Wright. Today, you're about to meet some amazing people. The stories are not always happy ones, but they define a healing process. Listen with an open mind and an open heart. Now, here is Karen Wright.
Welcome, listeners, to Now or Never. The choice is yours. And thank you for taking the time and choosing now to be with me today, along with my two wonderful guests, Wendy, Benson, and Beth Myers. How are you both doing today?
Oh, so happy to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to be here with you today, Karen. Thank you.
Oh, I am excited to have you both here. Listeners, today's show is about claiming your health with confidence. Stepping into the unfamiliar care can be scary, especially when the care of people you love is at stake. Today's episode, I will join authors and entrepreneurs Wendy Benson and Beth Myers in a conversation about finding freedom as you navigate the healthcare system. These experts have learned that you don't have to be in bondage to a system you don't understand, but that you can move forward in freedom and confidence in the unfamiliar space of hospitals and doctor's office. When I read this, the whole, after I talked to you, Wendy, with our last meeting and our last interview together, I have wished I had known you 2 years ago when I was going through a lot of healthcare things with aging parents and the whole, you say you're a concierge. I want a concierge. And now I found a concierge in the health system for all my guests. And I just think that this is something that is a unique situation, a unique like job description that I've never heard before. And maybe I'm just being naive. Maybe this is not, I don't know. Here we go. We're going into this system. But before we start, I just want to with my heart, tell you both thank you for being here today. And as we begin each session, we always do a grounding, and I ask that my listeners join the guests and myself as we close our eyes, take a deep breath in and release, and take another deep breath in and release, allowing that beautiful breath of life to enter every cell, through your organs, through your bloodstream. Take another deep breath in and release. And now put your hands up on your shoulders like you're giving yourself a big hug. Give yourself a hug and repeat out loud or to yourself, I am worthy of my love. Let's say that 3 times. I am worthy of my love. I am worthy of my love. I am worthy of my love. Take another deep breath in and release. Then tapping 3 times on your chest, repeating the word accept. Accept, accept, accept. Another deep breath in and release. Listeners, I hope that you feel present as we begin the show today, and allowing that peace to be with you, and just that, the knowledge and understanding that you are loved and that you are amazing. At the beginning of each show, I always do an affirmation, and I invite my guests, as I read the affirmation, each of you have the opportunity to share with the listeners what your thoughts were. I never look at the card before the show, so you guys know. So it's always a shock. to me. Oh, so the affirmation is, I am peace. I am peace. So Wendy, what was the first thing that came into your mind when I read that?
So I was with some family members this weekend. My aunt unexpectedly passed away. And what I wish for anyone who's missing someone is to be at peace and to feel that peace. That's really powerful for me to see that and hear that right now, Karen. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I didn't choose it. The universe did. So the connection is amazing with every show, how the affirmation card just goes hand in hand with the theme or situations, experiences, stories that my guests have gone through. So thank you for sharing. And Beth, what about you?
So I've had a really busy morning with some patients and actually a family member who's in the hospital as well. And so it's just being able to sit there for the last couple minutes and take a couple deep breaths for yourself really helped me be at peace. So thank you so much for taking the time to do that.
You're so welcome. Listeners, taking the time, taking your breath, take a deep breath in, and remember, I am peace. This is what this life is about. Peace and calmness in the horrific storms that we go through and the ups and the downs. Finding that inner peace will allow you to look more clearly, to open up and realize that everything's going to be okay. Everything will be okay. So write that affirmation on the mirror, on your sticky note, my mirrors are covered, and this week it will be, I am peace. So universe, thank you for dropping that card into my lap today. I want to introduce both Wendy and Beth kind of at the same time, because this today's show is going to be a little bit different, where we're going to be talking back and forth with all of us together at the same time, instead of one guest and then the next guest after the break. There's so much power between the two of them and what they've been through and their experiences that I don't want to jip them off, because I know I know they have a lot to say today. I want to introduce them and read a little bit about their bio. Wendy Benson and Beth Myers are the leaders of 2x2 Health, private health concierge, which supports people and their loved ones on their healthcare journeys. With over 40 years of combined clinical experiences as an OT and RN, they are dedicated to helping others improve their health and their quality of life. Their experiences with their patient cases and communicating with the medical teams behind them provided for their context of their international selling book, The Confident Patient. And I'm really excited to dive a little deeper about that book, because to me, it's very powerful. You both have been featured on top media outlets, including ABC, NBC, Fox, and 560 AM, which is really cool, with Windy City Live. I love that. You mentioned the Healthcare Times and Chicago Health Magazine. You guys are powerhouses. I just want to say that as I'm going through, all the bios that I receive from my guests are incredible. And every week, I enjoy reading through the bios and going, oh my goodness, how lucky I am with being introduced to these beautiful guests every single week. And I want you both to know that. I am very touched. Okay, so where do we want to start first? Let's start maybe a little bit about your health company, Beth. 2x2 Health. When was it started, and what is the company all about?
Sure. So I'm a nurse and spent over 16 years in a major academic medical center in Chicago in various clinical and managerial roles. I decided to start my company after I saw patients and families frustrated, not knowing where to turn or navigate in the complicated healthcare system. The creation of the company was born out of a desire to help patients and actively partner with their medical team to navigate the healthcare system so they can move as quickly and efficiently as possible. Now, over 6 years, 2x2 Health is a team of experienced healthcare professionals who help fill those gaps. We have over 35 nurses that work with us. And we provide coordination of services, clinical companionship, and recovery care for individuals and their families. We are based in Chicago. We believe everyone is part of the same care team. The team is built on mutual respect and sharing a common goal. With the complexities of healthcare and the complicated, challenging information being delivered, they need to know where to communicate. We need to guide them on where to go, translate, and advocate for them. By proactively empowering individuals and their families, we ensure that they can make informed decisions and create better outcomes and feel more confident about their healthcare.
Now, all of that is amazing to me. Do you have to be contracted with, just because of insurance and things like that, right? You go to a certain doctor because insurance will cover it. How does that work with your program?
Right. So we are private pay. So insurances do not cover our services, which is a positive and negative, right? So if an insurance company says you need to see a certain doctor and that doctor is not the right choice for you, maybe doesn't have enough years of doing a type of procedure and you don't feel comfortable, we can actually talk with the insurance company and ask for a peer-to-peer evaluation and see if we can change that. So it's kind of, it's good and bad that we're not connected with somebody or get paid for their services.
So basically you are representing your clients 100%.
Right. We're advocating for the patient.
Yeah. Okay. Not trying to gear to the one doctor you're contracted with or this facility over here, because you guys are an open book, ready to help wherever you can, depending on what your client needs at that time.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. That's beautiful. So then, Beth, Wendy, how did you get involved with 2x2? How did you two meet? And all this.
Yeah. So
I want to hear the love story.
So I'm an occupational therapist by background, and I just had an incredibly depth of experience early on in my career. My husband moved around a lot, and so I worked with people that had brain injuries, people who had spinal cord injuries, people who had hand injuries, people who were going through recovery from a stroke. And so I had a lot of experiences really early on in my career, which was amazing. But with those experiences came this desire to learn more and more about healthcare globally, not just about occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy. So I got my MBA and started working in a lot of different areas at level 1 trauma centers in terms of operations. And so through that experience, you really see the patient's experience through their eyes. You know, if you're working with pharmacy and engineering and housekeeping, all these pieces are so integrally important to the patient. And so I know Beth from working at Rush University Medical Center here in Chicago, where I was a service line administrator for general surgery and cancer center. And when she told me about this exciting opportunity that she was starting this business 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I joined her because I just wanted to be a part of something where you're really impacting healthcare at the most granular level. You're partnering with patients and their family and their support system, which just makes such a big difference.
That's not crazy, but the whole how people come into your life for a reason, right? There's no chance meetings is my favorite saying. There are no chance meetings. People cross paths at a certain time for a certain reason. And Beth, you had mentioned you have 35 healthcare providers.
Yep.
So are they all RNs or some OTs like what Wendy is?
No, we all RNs, but then we also have some dietitians that we added to the team this year, which has been great.
Yeah. Food has a lot to do with the health, that whole
absolutely food
process.
Sleep, yes, it all is coming together. You have to have them all. And I really believe in the multidisciplinary approach. You know, everyone brings something different to the table. So it's been great to get everyone's view and thoughts on a patient.
So Wendy, as an OT, I know what that is, but what is an OT? Someone's like, an OT, don't know what that is, you know?
Right, yeah. Well, even if you hear the whole term occupational therapy, it's not extremely clear. So an occupational therapist really helps someone get, become as independent as possible. So really focusing on function. So if someone had ankle surgery and is having trouble with mobility, even if a physical therapist is helping them with their range of motion and walking, Are they able to dress themselves? Are they able to bathe themselves? Are they able to get to the kitchen and make a snack for themselves or their family? So as an occupational therapist, you really focus on function and getting just as independent as possible. And sometimes it's working on strengthening, muscles or sometimes it's learning a new way of doing things.
Yes. And that's, there is a huge range, just like you said, from helping, get through after surgery, but there's even more. So my daughter, when she was younger, when she was little, I did occupational therapy with her because she was delayed and she was born with seizures. And so she was delayed in learning and, the fine motor skills, the large motor skills and all of that. So occupational therapy goes hand in hand with any age and anything that someone has gone through. And I think it takes a type of person to be a nurse, RN, occupation, to be in the healthcare system. Like, you have to have patience, but you also have to have boundaries. And I'm sure there's a fine line. Has there been any situations, you guys share? I'm putting you both on the spot, to where like all of a sudden you had to be like very much boundary oriented with a patient going, nope, this is happening. Does that happen a lot or no?
So Wendy has really helped me with that, actually. She can be the voice of reason, because she and maybe it is that occupational background, because it deals with executive functioning and a lot of other pieces. But yes, I've talked to Wendy about situations and I'm like, what do we do? And she's just like, we need to do X, Y, and Z. And that's the beauty of working with, we're such a great fit because she has strengths where there definitely are my weaknesses. And vice versa. So it's great that we complement each other. My husband and I are a great complement. Like, it's funny how relationships go and how great it is that it's worked this well together.
Yeah, I did too. What about you, Wendy? Have you been like to a point where you're like,
well, I think each person comes from their own place, right? So I do think that for some people, they need more boundary setting than others. For some people, they need more of us being patient than others. So I think really assessing a situation, just like I'm sure, Karen, when you have different guests, you do things differently. When Beth and I have different patients, we do things differently. There are some people that kind of want to be told what to do. They're after their surgery, they're like, no, I want to know what's safe, how many exercises, what position can I be in? What medications do I take when? And there are some people that are like, I just really need some companionship and reassurance and know that I'm doing the right thing. So you really have to tailor your approach depending on what someone needs because everyone's so different.
And that's so true.
Where the concierge comes in, really in this field.
Well, yes, because you're there to please everybody, right? They're paying you.
Yes.
And so you kind of have to watch that too, right? There is that fine line where, yes, they're paying you, they are your patients and clients, and there's that, love-hate relationship, I'm sure that goes on between them, right? Yeah. With any partnership, you always have that love and not so much love. I hate the word. I don't like the word hate. And I just said it twice. My apologies. Oh my goodness. Listeners, stay tuned. We will be right back with Wendy Benson and Beth Myers as we dive a little bit deeper into their book, The Confident Patient. We'll be right back after this message.
Okay, awesome job. All clear. Back in about 2.
Hey, thanks. You guys, that was amazing.
You are amazing. That's the word I was going to use for you, Karen. I feel like everything keeps changing in terms of my lighting here, so I'm trying not to be in the dark. Karen, you are so talented. My goodness gracious, you're awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Energy. Yeah.
I appreciate that. I'm like over here kind of multitasking because I'm looking up like the notes from you guys, So sometimes when I veer off, please, I'm not ignoring you.
Yeah,
no. Yes. Where I'm going. Because sometimes
I like it. I like it when you veer off, actually. It feels more natural.
True.
You're good at that. So thank you.
Where I'm not like in your face. Oh my goodness, so funny. So when we come back, I want to go a little bit deeper into, I want to talk about your book, because both of you guys wrote this together, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And so what we'll do is have you deep dive about the book, how it came to be, how people can find the book. You know, this is the opportunity you get to broadcast the greatness you are, and how people can find you and help and things like that. And I never want to go without letting my guests, have my listeners reach out to you guys, because you guys are all way too important not to.
You're very kind.
It's the truth, total truth. So this is going to be really good. And I'm going to move some things around here. Sorry. They're like, Karen.
Those, huh?
So can I share with you something personal?
Sure.
Yes.
You're like, what are we going to say? No. But today is my daughter who passed away, her anniversary.
Wow,
She passed away
that's
2004, September 1st, 2004.
Wow.
So this is just a
There's a
very
reason why we're together.
yes.
Yeah.
All right, Karen, we're just about to come back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
I didn't plan that either.
You are listening to Now or Never. The choice is yours. To connect with the program today, please call us at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is karen@shinenowornever.com. Let's get back to this week's show. Here again is Karen Wright.
Listeners, welcome back. We have had the privilege of speaking with Wendy Benson and Beth Myers today about their company 2x2 Health, a private health concierge. And they really are. Like we were talking behind the scenes, it's like a relationship that they have with their clients, and not just with the clients, but also with family members. I'm sure there's a whole rippling. It's not just one, that sometimes you're dealing with more, you know, it's kind of like when you're a school teacher and you're the dealing with the kid is fine, but then you have the parents, and then you have the grandparents coming in, and they all have their opinions about how everything should be ran. And you're like going, what are you doing to me? I'm sure there's like those situations that can be very delicate. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, family dynamics. I mean, every family has its own unique balance, you know, based on the number of kids, based on, you know, where people are located, and based on, you know, who's somebody who's more of a decision maker than another. So yeah, family dynamics are always interesting. It's part of what we have the opportunity to work with.
Right. And every family has it. So don't think that, oh, my family, for them, that, you know, my family's different. They're all the same.
You don't have the perfect family.
Yeah.
I was always like, my kids are not the perfect. Whenever there was a problem or issue, and my kid was involved, I'm like, what did they do? I apologize first. I am so sorry. I'm not sure what's going to come out of there. I have my youngest like that. Never knew what she was going to say. And so I always apologize first. Not for her speaking and speaking her truth, but not knowing what she's going to say, because I love the fact she wanted to share. She's just very open. But sometimes things came out. I was like, that wasn't supposed to be talked about. So I'd always apologize up front. Not sure what she's going to say, but it is what it is. Just let her talk.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I want to know a little bit about your book, The Confident Patient. So who wants to start with that?
I could kick us off if you want.
Okay. I love it. Wendy, thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to. So as you mentioned at the beginning, you know, Beth and I both have had lots of years of experience in healthcare. And when working together at 2x2 Health, we noticed that even though each person in their family has their own unique needs, there were just these common themes that were emerging. And because we're Chicago based, we thought, how can we spread this information more globally? How can we really share this information? This is something that I wish I would have had when my mom was terminally ill 25 years ago. What we wanted to do is write something that was informal. You know, if someone wants to Google things that are going on with a healthcare situation, there's enough scientific things out there and things that you can't really trust out there. What we
Right.
wanted to do is really put together a guide to help people through these healthcare crises. So really it's, with these common themes, we really wanted to put together some patient stories, sample questions that people can ask, and really a plan of action moving forward so that you know what to do with these situations. They're so hard. And we also included a lot of advice from medical professionals who we interviewed across the country.
Was it, as you interviewed with the medical profession, was there an arrangement, from one extreme to the other of responses from your questions, or were they all pretty?
We had, some of the common themes definitely are that the medical professionals that we interacted with, physicians, both medicine and surgical, nurse practitioners, nurses, the common theme really was, we want families and our patients to be involved. If we say something that you don't understand, please tell us. We want to know. We want you to be engaged in this process. The other common theme is getting a second opinion. Do not be afraid of getting a second opinion. I mean, I think that it's human nature to think, oh, I don't want my I don't want my team to think I'm questioning them. They want you to do it. They want you to feel engaged in the next steps. And if you get that second opinion, you hear the same information, then that's just affirmed. If you hear different information, that's a great opportunity to tell each of them, like, hey, this one said this, help me understand what's the best situation for myself or my family member. So those are two of the key themes that we heard again and again. And it was really, really inspirational to hear that.
Well, and it kind of goes hand in hand with our affirmation today. Clients need to have that, the patients need to have that peace.
Yeah.
With what they hold, right? And the families have to have that too in order to move forward with any procedures. What is the most common procedures, or the most like in the book, when you're with this book, that you and the clients, do you talk mostly about like rehabilitation or aging? Like where's the theme at with that?
I would say it's pretty broad. So both adults and pediatric surgeons we talked with, pulmonary issues, so lung issues, orthopedic surgeons, so talking a lot about, hip surgeries, knee surgeries, neurologic concerns, so brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, and then really just across the board in terms of like making sure that when we're talking about like your medical records and different questions to ask, but really all ages and all diagnoses. Cancer has a pretty significant role in the book, because that's an area where there's even probably more teamwork that's required when you're dealing with a cancer diagnosis. Perhaps you're dealing with, an oncologist and a surgeon and a radiologist. So that has a prominent position in the book as well.
So how can people find your book?
So they should go to our website, which is 2by2health.com. So it's the number 2health.com. It does take, it's available on Audible, it's available on paperback through Amazon, but on our website, we also have our new companion piece, which is a video series, The Confident Patient in a New World. Because what we realized is the second you put something out on paper, things change, especially within the last 2 years. Right. So what we do is have regular interviews with medical professionals across the country talking about what we do now. Some things have changed and some things haven't. So for a while, you maybe couldn't take someone to the doctor's office with you because of some restrictions. Now we're finding either more places are allowing someone to bring, or you can make a special request, because that's really important.
Right. Well, and the whole COVID thing, with the rising numbers again, I'm sure that has done a lot of, people get nervous, like, I know I'm sick, but do I really have to go into the doctor? Like, what's my next step? And Beth, what advice would you give to those patients?
I always say, when everyone else was closing down, the hospital stayed open. They know how to deal with this. They're wearing masks. Everyone there is wearing a mask. I can't get to my office without putting a mask on, which is completely different than the grocery stores a couple months ago. So it is safe. If you have any questions at all, I recommend that you reach out on the patient portal and you talk to your clinical team that way. Just send a message saying, I felt a lump in my breast, or I lost 10 pounds and I haven't been trying. So whatever your concerns are, send a message. Maybe you can do a video conference with your doctor, or teleconference. maybe you need to come in, but it is safe to go to the doctor. I highly recommend. You're going to be in a better place if you go to the doctor and talk it out, maybe get some tests done. And if there's something we need to deal with, let's deal with it. Let's not put it off a couple more months and then you can't deal with it. It's too late. So I absolutely 100% make sure you're communicating with your clinical team.
Yeah. And I've heard just lately, the last, COVID was, dropping down, the numbers are starting back up again. And so Utah, we've been pretty safe, because we kind of spread out. We're kind of to ourselves. Hibernate in my house.
Yeah.
But I know right now that they're not doing secondary surgeries. Like knee replacement.
They're not? No, really. So in Chicago, our numbers have gone up, but they have not stopped elective surgeries. So everything is still status quo. I heard down in Southern Illinois, I heard Kentucky's cases are going up and they're starting to slow down surgeries there, but it hasn't come up to the Chicagoland area yet. And hopefully it doesn't.
I know. The crazy thing about this with the whole COVID thing and the healthcare professions, hands down to them, to all of you guys, for what you've gone through, and you continue to go back day after day and putting your lives at risk because you can catch it, especially before the vaccine came out. And so kudos and shout out and love and light to all of the health people. I love you guys. And I think a lot of times we take it for granted what you guys are doing. And just for, a minute, let's just send love and light to all the doctors and nurses and facility and people, the cleaner, the people back in the back cleaning and keeping everything COVID safe. There's so many involved with helping us stay healthy. And I appreciate that. I just wanted to shout that out to everybody. You're welcome. I get on these little wild hairs going, whoosh, here we go. Wendy, when you talk about confident patient or confident caregiver, what does that look like?
So, I think we all kind of envy when we see someone, feeling and acting confident in a situation. And it doesn't mean that somebody knows everything about a situation. I mean, specialists in their medical field don't know everything about anything. It really is about having the strength to ask questions if you don't know something, to try to pull together the right people, either on your medical team and or in your community, your support system. You can't choose what medical issue you're dealing with, but you can choose who helps you and who's surrounding you, in your community. So really it's about asking questions, making sure that you have a plan, do some research in advance, think about your questions and write them down. It's really hard for us to try to remember our questions and take in new information, right? So there's a lot of really specific strategies we describe so that people can feel confident, even though you're not going to know everything. It's also about, asking questions. And sometimes people say, I don't even know where to start. You can even start by saying, I have a daughter who's 11 years old. If someone's describing something, not everyone went to medical school. If someone's describing something that I don't feel comfortable with, and maybe I don't want to say, I don't know what that means. Maybe I say, I really want to be able to describe this to all my family members. Can you describe this in a way that my 11-year-old will understand? So there are a lot of ways of trying to get more information, pulling together the right people, both on your medical team and in your community. Well, really, it will increase your confidence because even though you're not going to know everything, you're going to have a plan and you're going to know what you can do to feel more confident, to have more information, and to make the most informed decisions.
And then in your book, do you outline questions for people?
Yes.
Here's some questions. And okay.
There's a whole appendix of sample questions to ask. And so some of them might be, do you know what my diagnosis is yet? Or are we still determining that? Are you recommending any tests? If so, what are they? What are we looking for? What do we hope the results are? Who will communicate those results to me? If I have questions, who do I ask? So we kind of go through in different situations some sample questions, and you can use them as exactly as they're written, or you can tweak them to your own. There's a number of questions that someone should ask before a surgery, after a surgery, before being discharged from the hospital. It's just a really important time to be sure. You want to get out of there usually. Someone's like, get me, I'm ready to go home. But that's a really critically important time to know what the next steps are and who to call if you have any questions.
I think so too. I know when I went into surgery, I don't know, 5 years ago, I blew out my ACL, so I had to get knee surgery, and I'm like, okay, what's recovery time? And they're like, oh, 6 to 8 months. And I'm like going, okay, so 8 months. And I'm like going, oh, my knee still hurts and this and that. And I'm going back to the doctor, and he's like, so how old are you? I go, what does age have to do with it? And he goes, the older you are, the longer it takes for you to feel better and to rehab and everything. And I'm like, you knew my age 6 months ago. I go, why didn't you tell me that then? Because you're older, it's going to take longer for rehab, or for you to feel better. And it was like 2 years until my knee finally felt good. But things, I think sometimes, not just doctors in general, and they assume we know stuff.
Well, I mean, we do talk about this also, like it's very common for anyone in any industry to use the jargon and the acronyms, right? So I do think even those that are in healthcare who are used to communicating with people, it's not a bad thing to say, hey, let's pump the brakes, let's take a step back. I need to know more specifically what that means. I need to understand better what the side effects are. Can you please help me more understand my recovery time and contributing factors that may affect that?
Yeah, I think sometimes, and to me, it's asking the right questions, where I will always be like going, if something's foreign to me or new, I don't know what questions to ask, because I've never been in this situation before.
Right.
And I'm sure you guys run into this all the time, Beth, right? Like,
absolutely. And that's why it's always good to have someone else with you, because, they tell you need, surgery to replace your ACL, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, I got to take my daughter here and my son here, and this, I don't have time for this right now. And like the doctor's still talking. Well, you have just missed everything that they just said. So, there's so many reasons why you should bring someone to the doctor's appointment to help you remember what they said. And then also, write down your questions before you go, and tell your companion, like, listen, I don't want to leave until I have these questions answered, because they may give you some information that floors you, and you're just like, whoa, what? I totally forgot why I'm even here right now. So yes, that does happen all the time.
See, and that's good to know. I was just thinking, like, I don't know if I could drag a friend in with me to the doctors, but with technology, you have phones that can record. And so if you just say, is it okay if I record this conversation to help me remember?
And sometimes people, they will not allow you to record for legality reasons, but some do. So just know that might be something that you might get pushback on. But every hospital, every doctor's office has different rules. But just know that. But they are definitely allowing people to call a friend and say, listen, FaceTime here right now, and FaceTime, or just over the phone. Like, can you just listen to this? While, maybe they don't need to hear the whole thing, but maybe, the last 5 minutes with the plan, that's when you have them on the phone.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And that's the thing. I love to always think, okay, outside the box, if you're by yourself, if you're, what can we do? You can call from the room, meeting with the doctor. If they allow, you can ask prior to the appointment, hey, is it okay if I record? I think that would be something that a patient can go in, and just knowing what they're allowed to do prior also would take away that stress, because the doctors are, you're there because something's up, right? And sometimes your anxiety, and you get scared, nervous to death, not sure what's going on. So, listeners, stay tuned. We have been speaking with Beth and Wendy about healthcare and the questions we can ask when we go into the doctor's office, and not being afraid to get second opinions, and coming back and asking again, what can we do? Or this is the diagnosis, it's not the same as what you told me. So help me understand. And it's okay to question. We'll be right back after this message.
Okay, great. All clear. Back in about 2.
Hey, yay.
Yay.
So did you guys take turns? I get sidetracked sometimes about the book, but did you each compile your information together, or how did that work when you wrote it?
So Wendy did the majority of the writing, but it was, I see the patient. So it's a lot of my stories, and she's so eloquent. She puts it in. I can listen to her forever. I'm like, oh, she says it so nicely. Yeah, so it was definitely a joint effort.
Good.
It was definitely Wendy's idea, though. I was like, what? You want to do what?
Well, and I love the fact now that you acknowledge that, yeah, things change. And 2 years after the book has been written, you do the live videos or the live updates about healthcare and where it's going from here. And I think that's
right.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
And that again was on your website, 2by2health.com.
Yes.
Okay, I just did a shout out on Facebook for you guys.
Nice.
It's all about giving back, you know that. And so when we come back, do you want to deep dive into something? Do you guys have suggestions you want to go with?
Karen, is there anything based on what your listeners have asked before that you think might resonate with them?
You know what I'd like to do, if possible? I think there's a lot, like with healthcare with aging parents. Do you guys deal a lot with that?
Yes.
Beth is dealing with it professionally and personally right now.
I would just for my personal, because I went through it, 2 years, I've lost both my parents since, but for 5 years I was the caregiver.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice to have you.
You don't know how many times we hear that. It's like, where were you 6 months ago? And that's the thing, we just want to spread the word now so people don't have to go through it alone.
Yes. And I think we should go there just because baby boomers, that generation now, they're getting older, and what's their next steps? Maybe outline, there's so many 55 and over places being built right now.
I know.
And then it's being, from
Right.
55. Okay. Sorry.
10 seconds.
Okay. Thank you. They're always getting mad at me.
This is the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
You are listening to Now or Never. The choice is yours. To connect with the program today, please call us at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is Karen@shinenowornever.com. Let's get back to this week's show. Here again is Karen Wright.
Listeners, welcome back. I am so excited to announce the Now or Never Diamond Ignite Retreat. It's happening October 7th through the 10th in Park City, Utah. Now is the time to find the diamond within you. Discover the freedom to achieve your dreams and your true authenticity by creating the life you want to have. So you can go to my website, shinenowornever.com, click on the retreat. All the information is there. If you have questions, feel free to email me at Karen@shinenowornever.com. And I'm so excited for this retreat. So I invite all my listeners to check it out, see what you think. Right now, we're still COVID. We're going to be COVID safe. We're going to wear masks. We're going to take on, just be as safe as we can. We have space in this huge house in Park City. It's absolutely beautiful. So anyway, just wanted to shout that out to my listeners and people who are watching at this time. And we are back with Wendy and Beth, and we've been talking about healthcare. And they have their business 2by2 Health. And during break, I was talking about, okay, what's our next step? What do we want to deep dive down into and just kind of open up a little bit more than what we've talked about already? And everything has been so informative. And I loved that. But there's something that's dear to my heart, and that's caring for aging parents. And I was telling these both beautiful, dazzling women today that, where were you 2 years ago? 5 years ago when I started working with my parents as they became older, and they both suffered with dementia and Alzheimer's, and, watching my dad pass away. And then a year and a half later, my mom passing away, but trying to get them into a facility. And I lost three deposits on my mom because she was so stubborn. And I was the only one there trying to, transfer her over. And it was such a learning, growing experience. And I'm just like, okay, how can you help someone like me going through with the aging parents and trying to help them make the plans and moving from 55? There's a lot of 55 plus places, facilities being built right now where it goes 55 and then assistant living, and then into the, not Alzheimer care, what they call that?
Memory care.
Memory care. Thank you. Yeah. So what's your advice?
Having someone in the family that there's a go-to, and knowing what your parents' wishes are is really helpful, and knowing what kind of person that they are and what they would like. I think that's really, really helpful. So starting early rather than later. In an area that they're comfortable with, they have friends and places where they can see their children and grandchildren. I think that's really important. Mm-hmm. I wish that everybody is open to it, as what you're saying. Like it's never as easy as just, come on, mom and dad, we're going to move you over here. Like there's a lot of pushback, and it's not time for me to go. And it's very frustrating, and it's hard for the families, because the families think that they're doing the right thing, and they probably are doing the right thing. But, the parents feel like somebody is making them do something, kind of like your children. And it's kind of like they're reverting back to a child, like and you're thinking logically, so it's very difficult. Wendy, do you have any more suggestions?
Well, I know that when we've worked with families going through this, we try to have, like Beth mentioned, the parents as involved as possible, really trying to determine what their priorities are so that they're at least a part of the discussion. It's not an easy transition for anyone. And I think that over the last 2 years, it's been even more challenging because of the potential for social isolation. So I think that really being aware of different ways that we can all stay connected, and just trying to involve them as early as possible in the process. Sometimes what we've done is maybe start with something even less than moving. Maybe first it's starting with just having some assistance in the home with, so that the other parent maybe has some respite and can get out and maybe go for a walk or grab a bite to eat with some friends, while maybe somebody helps just to make sure the other person is safe, or maybe picks up some groceries or does some light cleaning. So sometimes it's almost like developing a plan and saying, what can we do? What's a first step? Knowing that ultimately we're probably going to need to keep evolving and changing our plan, knowing that needs change over time. It's really hard because many people are so geographically spread out now these days. And even if you're not, even if you live next door, many of us have our own responsibilities with our children and our jobs and everything that goes along with that. So it really is a tough balance. I think it's important to know that, anyone dealing with this is not alone. And we've really got to take care of ourselves in this process too, because if we wear ourselves out, we're not going to be able to do a good job taking care of our parents or the rest of our lives. It's really challenging.
So on your website, like if my listeners wanted to pull up your website and see, do you have outlines for caregiving for parents?
We have we have the video series that I mentioned earlier, and there is a lot of information on that. We also have links to some of the interviews that we've done. We've done some Facebook Live interactions with AARP of Illinois and AARP of Colorado. So there are some resources definitely that can be, now we don't the way you're describing it, we don't have bullet points,
Yeah.
bullet points by diagnosis or anything like that. I think that's a really good idea though. But there are a number of resources that you can see. And then we also on Facebook, 2x2 Health Facebook account, we do a lot of vetting of different organizations and post some of their resources as well, because many organizations are really focusing on this because it's just so critically important.
Mm-hmm. And each state has their programs, because we had, like you said, my parents were in their home, but I had visiting angels come in. So contacted, okay, what source can I have people come in? And just like you said, had someone come in, take care of my dad so I could take my mom out to lunch. And that was hard on my mom.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want some stranger, some young girl with my dad. It's like all of a sudden, like personalities come out with your parents. I'm like, I need to write a book about it. Like seriously, it blew my mind. I'm like, Mom, it's okay. We're, she's here on service and helping us. We can go and enjoy our lunch. And the whole time she's like, but
it's such an adjustment.
It is an adjustment, and allowing a stranger into your home was very hard for her. And that happens. And so, things like that happen. We had Meals on Wheels come, to provide food, because my mom would leave the stove on, or they would forget to eat. And if I was over there every day checking on them. And like you said, it was draining trying to be their caregiver, running my business and taking care of my family and have time for me. I was like going, yeah, I'm swimming here. No, I'm like about drowning, right? It's hard.
It is.
And so if people are looking for help and they live in another state, you both could help them somehow, correct?
Go ahead, Wendy.
Well, that's one of the reasons that we wrote the book, actually, The Confident Patient, because I'm not from Chicago. I still have a lot of close family members and friends in Pennsylvania. And I was like, we wouldn't be able to be with them in person. There are certainly patients that we've helped remotely, definitely. But that's one of the reasons we wrote The Confident Patient, because we wanted somebody to have a tangible guide that they could use, even without us physically being there.
Yeah. So, but you would do, like, if people called and said, hey, I need your help. Can I hire you from another state? Can you walk me through? Like, you have that type of where you can help people, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. And I think that's really important, because nowadays you're not really, just with COVID and everything is Zoom call, right? So we're wearing a mask, doing Zoom calls, but I think that's important that the listeners understand, no matter where you're living, you can still reach out to Wendy and Beth and ask these questions and hire them from a distance. Yes?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're not alone, is what they're saying. You are not alone on this healthcare journey. We have concierge to help you get through life. And before we close, is there advice that you could give the listeners, like if they're struggling or going through something right now, whether it's themselves being terminally sick or working with aging parents, or, kind of like the cheerleader little fan cry, what would you tell them?
I would tell people to accept offers of help. I think it's in our human nature that we say, oh, no, I got it. Just say yes. And sometimes be specific about what your needs are. If somebody is going through something and you can say, instead of saying, is there anything I can do? You're probably going to hear no. But if you say, I could help pick up your kids from school, I could run to the grocery store, or I could get you a hot cup of soup from the deli down the street. Does one of those things or more of those things sound good to you? It might be easier for them to say yes to that.
And that's very important. It's okay to say yes. It's okay to accept help from other people. Thank you for sharing that. Beth,
Sure.
What about for you?
Yeah, I think asking questions and knowing that it's okay when you go to a restaurant and they tell you, this is the sauce. I mean, I would say to them, well, tell me a little bit more about that sauce. It's okay to ask questions when you go to the doctor, when they say you have X, Y, and Z, to say, okay, really, like Wendy said earlier, I need to explain this to my 11-year-old. Tell me more about that. Like, don't feel bad. This is a completely different area. I see people, very educated in one area of life, not understand healthcare and how it works or the disease process. So ask questions, and you're going to feel better about it. And the doctors are going to respect you for asking. So it's okay. Just ask, and just so you can feel more comfortable.
Both of those are great advice. So just say yes and ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. And I appreciate both of your words of advice and your knowledge and the wisdom that you have, and for you both taking the opportunity to write a book that you can help people like me and the listeners with you're like the encyclopedia concierge, the health concierge encyclopedia. It's like, you guys have covered all bases, plus you've experienced it with your own patients and your clients that you're working with. And to me, that is really important. Thank you both for being on the show today. Remember, listeners, our affirmation of the day was, I am peace. The breath is a gift of life. Choose now and live. Remember, this world is not for sissies, and we are here to experience our own story as we each walk our personal journey. Have an amazing day, and thank you for choosing to be here now. Until next week, sending you all love and light.
All right, excellent. Good show. We're all clear.
I was holding my cough.
All right, well, I'm going to jump out. You all have a great rest of your day.
All right.
Thank you.
No, thank you both for being on the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you. So you mentioned that this is the anniversary of your daughter. Like, is there anything that you'd want to share and bring honor to her right now? I'm just thinking about you. And
I know she's constantly with me. And I know I talked to you prior, like I wrote my memoir so I wrote a book, Beth, about my daughter passing away. It's called Now or Never, Shine Baby Shine. And it was about the day she passed away. And then our life story with between her and me, and my life story as involved after the death and what I went through. And she has been with me every step of the way. And she is constantly with me, and she pushes me, and she reminds me every day to be courageous and to be brave and to love me for me. And to have her as part of my life has been such a blessing, and it continues every day to be a blessing. I have this big picture up here, and it's this beautiful lady, and really no face, but she's got the wings, and my daughter, so this is my daughter. It reminds me of my daughter every day when I'm here. And just, yeah, we all experience loss all throughout life. And at the end of the day, it's like, do we stay bitter about it, or do we step up and think, what a blessing to have that person in our lives? And for a short amount of time here on earth, but I trust and believe that we evolve and continue to live, and they're so close. I talk to her all the time.
And she doesn't talk back.
No, she doesn't. And she's there to help me now. She's like going, hey, Mom, what else do you need to do? Let's do this and this and this. I'm like going, yeah, okay, we got this. But there's days, like last night I was crying. I go to bed crying, missing my loved ones. And sometimes it's okay to cry. It's not always happy tears, Sometimes I feel that loss, and that the hole in your heart, it has come back together, but there's still the scar. It's not that open wound anymore, but the scar is always there, and it always will be. And that has made me who I am today. So I'm grateful for it.
Well, there's some reason why we came together to get today. So I firmly believe.
I know, I love this.
Yeah.
you are such a beautiful person, Karen. Like, I just think that that's like, just, it's inspirational for people, no matter what's happened in their lives and what they're dealing with. I mean, I think it's just amazing that you're doing this. I mean, this is a true resource for someone, a lifeline for people.
I hope so. I'm like, what's the quickest way we can spread the word through airwaves and
Mhm.
get beautiful guests on like you both, and the knowledge and understanding that you have in this whole, you know, the healthcare system is, it's to me, I just feel blessed every week and honored, very honored to have you both. So you know that. It's been a thrill. It's just exciting for me. Like,
Wow.
like, who's my friends today? Who's my friends today with me? It's like, where are they?
Gosh, I feel so privileged to be in your presence. This is awesome. Thank you so much for including us. Really, it's an honor for us to be included. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you both. And just, you know, I always ask, just share this link out on
Yeah, for sure.
platforms and
Absolutely.
send people here and there all over the place. I would love you two to come to my retreat. Oh my gosh, how fun would that be?
Utah sounds amazing right now.
I know, I announced my retreat. I'm like going, oh, you two would be really, would love it.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I need something like that.
There's meditation and yoga, breath work, a lot of journaling, kind of deep diving into yourself, and finding out more about what kind of makes you tick, rejuvenate yourself again, and then finding that diamond inside of you. Yeah.
Sounds great.
It does.
Yeah. So I'll send you the information.
That'd be great. Yeah. Sure.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Karen, again.
Yes. Okay. Have a great day. Love you
All
both.
right, thanks. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.